But to give something to someone who like really understands and appreciates it, wow, that's super special. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Knits by Mandy. My name's Amanda, and today we have the 6th podcast episode of the Knits by Mandy podcast. So if you're new here, I follow a pretty standard format. I'll start with a quick life update, but I always put chapters in, so if you don't care, you can skip ahead. But then I'll talk about finished objects, any works in progress, acquisitions, future plans, and then I also do a little segment where I talk about any media that I've been consuming over the past month. So I think last time I had a book, podcast, and a television show, and I think I will keep the same format for this episode. So before we get started, I talked about this a little bit in my last video, but I am truthfully not feeling like 100% myself and really haven't been for the month of August. I've been dealing with what I think is a long COVID related like persistent headache. So some days I have minimal pain, and then other days I have more like migraine-like symptoms with like sensitivity to light and fatigue. So that's been going on in my life, and I just feel like I wanted to address it just because I feel like it's affecting my everyday life and my knitting in turn, and also just to say like I first of all truly feel for anyone with chronic migraine, because after a month of having like persistent pain, it's really affected me and my mental health, to be quite honest. And of course anyone that's dealing with long COVID, I think that's what I have. I've been working with my doctor, and I think I'll go see a specialist soon. But just really feel for anyone. I really hope everyone's staying safe. This has not been a super fun month for me. I haven't been making as much as I wanted to, especially because like sitting and knitting like becomes really uncomfortable for me quite quickly. I have a lot of like stiffness and tension now in my shoulders and my back. That kind of accompanies my head pain. So I don't know what the fuck is going on. I'm trying to figure it out, but yeah, and navigating the American health insurance system at the same time. Super fun, huge scam. But I actually am pretty lucky for the insurance that I received from my employer, but even still, it sucks. So just stay safe, stay healthy. If you're going through something that makes you feel like you're not 100% yourself, I really feel for you. I'm really just taking it one day at a time and doing what I can, whatever I can on whatever day shows up. So I have missed sitting in front of my camera. It really hasn't been that long since I last filmed, but I feel like because I'm not been able to do everything that I want to do, I think about it more, being like, oh, I could have filmed a video today kind of thing, on days when I'm not feeling super great. So it hasn't really been that long since I last posted, and I was gonna do like a fall plans video, which I still might do, but to be honest, I don't know how much I'm gonna get done this fall, so which is fine. I'm not based off my productivity. So I think I might still do it, talk about things that I might like to make. It turns out usually that I make maybe one or two things from like the planning videos that I put out. So my plans are always changing anyway. So it might just be fun to kind of do some like pattern shopping, yarn shopping. We can do that maybe in a few weeks. All right, so let's get started with the video and the knitting and making content. We actually have a bit of a crochet segment to start off the video with. And if you follow me on Instagram, you'll know that this week I was just in Pittsburgh. I reside in Washington, D.C., but basically all my family lives in Pittsburgh. It's where I'm originally from. And so when I go back, I get to see everyone, which is really special. And I was working on this crochet Afghan for my great aunt, and I finally got to give it to her for her birthday this weekend, which was really special. And it was a really special moment to have with her. And I talked a little bit about my Instagram, but I thought I'd just like cap it off by just talking about like the meaning about this for me and kind of the story behind why I decided to make it, because the pattern's like very simple. But I grew up with, on my mom's side, my grandmother and my great aunt. I never knew my grandfather. He passed before I was born, and they were kind of like the matriarchs of the family, and my great aunt was kind of a de facto grandparent because she and my grandmother lived together. And I grew up going down to their house with my extended family, doing Italian Sunday night dinners every night. So that side is like, I'm a quarter Italian, but like I really grew up Catholic and like going to Sunday night dinners, like very American Italian kind of thing. And my grandma would make sauce, and my Aunt Fran, she would make gnocchi. I actually have like a cutting board with her gnocchi recipe engraved on it. So just grew up being very well taken care of by both her and my grandmother, and like they always thought about us, like the grandchildren and her nieces and nephews, and they're just two very special people. And my grandma passed in 2017, and my aunt until this summer has lived in that house that they lived in. So they lived in the house that they grew up in as children and my mom grew up in. And of course my grandma doesn't live there anymore. I grieve with humor 100%, but of course she's not there anymore. But my aunt moved, is what I'm saying. She lived like, it was a row house in Pittsburgh, not a big house by any means. So it was not really accessible for her. There's no like first floor bedroom or first floor bathroom for that matter. So she's just turned 89. So she just moved into a place that's more accessible for her and hopefully will be more comfortable. And so that's when I decided to make the blanket. I grew up with a lot of crochet Afghans in my home. Both my grandmothers knew how to crochet, though I never learned from them. But just the feeling of it was something special, and like the overall like design, how it ended up, it just felt very nostalgic and almost like vintage to me. I know it's not, but just to kind of have those heirloom pieces I think is really special, and I just wanted to give her something that would make her more comfortable in her new home. So that was the story behind the blanket. She was really touched when I gave it to her over the weekend, and it was just a really special reminder to me. First of all, that like, I've been kind of bummed since I haven't been able to make as much as I wanted to this past month. But it's just like a special reminder that like what we do by knitting and crocheting is like truly so special. And it's even more special, I think, to share that with people that really kind of appreciate it and get it. Like, she grew up, you know, during the Great Depression. I think most older folks can probably have an appreciation for things that you make with your hands, even if my aunt never was a crocheter herself. So it was just very special to have that moment with her, and just a really nice reminder, I think, about like the specialness of our craft and like the meaning that can be behind it, and the fact that also, you know, many women and other folks knit and crocheted before us, and we can still pass this on, you know, through the digitally a little bit differently than it used to be in the past. But that really touches me to be like part of that tradition. So that was a nice reminder, even if I'm like not feeling like super engaged with it necessarily, like day to day picking up my needles or my hook or making something. So overall, that is like the sentimentality behind the blanket, the specs, and what I made. I didn't end up measuring this blanket, but it's about like a throw sized. I wanted to make it so that, I mean, my aunt's very short, but I wanted to make it so she could either, you know, kind of throw it over her couch, kind of like I have this blanket here, have it on her lap or like the foot of her bed when she sleeps, like a very kind of like casual throw. So I wanted to make a throw size. I didn't want to overcommit myself to making like a twin size blanket or anything like that. So I used a video tutorial from TL Yarn Crafts, her ripple stitch video, and she makes this beautiful I think she calls it the Mocha Ripple Afghan, like gorgeous colors. And I decided to go ahead and kind of alternate my colors. And I'll put in a video clip right now of what it looks like. So really quickly, my steamer's starting, but I just wanted to show you a clip of my finished blanket, just so we have it kind of for record keeping sake. Here is what the blanket looks like. This is how big it is. I'm about 5'4". I actually haven't measured it. I don't really feel like it, but it's like a good throw blanket size. So I'm really happy with how it turned out. It's not perfect. I ended up adding a single crochet edge on the sides, which is making it a little tight here. So I'm gonna steam block it and maybe help it not curl on the corners. But other than that, like, I think I did a pretty good job. It is a little wider on the bottom, and I think I messed things up in my first establishing rows. But again, this is like my 3rd crochet project ever. So I'm really happy with it. I'll talk more about it like in the next podcast clip, I guess. But I just wanted to have some footage of me like holding it so you can see what it looks like. Yeah, I'm so excited about it. And I'm really excited to give it to my aunt, and maybe I'll even have footage of me giving it to her. So we'll see. That was the video. I honestly can't remember what I said in it because that was like 2 weeks ago. But if I didn't mention it, I added that trim, and the only thing I would probably change was that the trim on the sides was single crochet, and I probably should have crocheted into more stitches because it ended up being a little tight. And the only thing really was that now the corners of the blankets are rolling in because the trim is so tight. I did try to give it a steam block before I gave it to her, and then I let her know that also she can put it through the wash because it's made entirely with Bernat Super Saver. So it's all acrylic yarn, and I wanted to use acrylic mostly for cost, but also just for ease of care. And I know that like it's something that'll be around for a while, so I think it's okay to use acrylic yarn. That's my hot take. I know some people will believe differently, but yeah. Okay, so that was my experience with the blanket. Again, a really special thing, and I'm glad that I was able to give it to her in person and actually finish it. I was quite proud of myself. I don't think I'll make a blanket anytime soon. I did find that I'm definitely like a knitter first. I just kind of prefer the motions of knitting and like what I can make with knitting over crochet. But I do really like how quick crochet works up, and like the option to make homeware like much easier, I think, than knitting. So I think I'll definitely make more blankets because I think it's like a really special piece to have, but I might not make one probably until next year. Maybe I'll make one a year. I would love to make one for me, so that might be coming around the mountain for next year. So that was really fun, and I would recommend making something for someone you love, and it doesn't have to be a blanket. But as long as if you think they'll appreciate it, like, wow, it's a really nice feeling, to be honest. And I know there's like a lot of convo about like, well, who's knit worthy and blah, blah, blah. But, you know, cause there's kind of that joke that like people find out you're knitting and they'll be like, knit me a sweater. And it's like, I don't even know you. But to give something to someone who like really understands and appreciates it, wow, that's super special. So that's my plug for gift making. So moving on to my second and last finished object is what I'm wearing. And this is the Secret crop top, Summer Secret crop top by Jessie Made Designs. And this is what it looks like. I'll get a little closer for you. I'm fully wearing sweatpants because that's where I'm at. Yeah, so I made this with Madeline Tosh woolen cotton. It's a 50-50 Pima cotton superwash merino blend. And, excuse me, the colorway is in Chilly Nights. As in, like, I'm sorry, I just burped 2 times and just kept talking. There's that John Mulaney joke. He's like, your 30s is just talking through burps. I'm 26, I'm already there. I don't think I ever, like, stopped doing that. Anyway, excuse me, not very couth. This is The Summer Secret, yeah. Okay. It's Madeline Tosh in Chilly Nights. It's this really pretty, like, blue speckled yarn that has, like, purple, like, indigo, some, like, even, like, yellow, greenish, brownish speckles throughout, some whiter spots. And I'm really happy with how the speckling came out. I'm not someone that, like, really gravitates towards, like, speckled or variegated yarns like this, but the times that I do use them, I'm really usually happy with them. So there's that. And the fabric itself is pretty comfortable. I've just been wearing it like this morning, probably a few hours, and I don't feel like itchy or anything. I'm not wearing a bra, which is really nice. And one other thing I wanted to mention, I haven't worn it outside yet, so I don't know how it'll wear, but it's definitely going to be warm here at least for another few weeks, if not like through the end of September. So I think I'll still get some wear out of it. This was officially like my last summer knit before transitioning into fall, which is sad but also exciting because sweater season's very exciting. And this tank top is constructed from the bottom up in this 3x3 rib. You then cast off the back, knit the front panel flat, do some 1x1 ribbing up here, and then work these double I-cord straps. It's a very simple pattern, which is exactly like what I need right now because I don't have like full energy to be knitting as much as I'd like to. I need like a very like low barrier to entry to a project. So I think that's why I decided on this pattern, and also like a Jessie Main pattern, just because I knew like it was going to be easy to read and like it was going to walk me through the whole thing. Even though I've made the ripple bralette, it's like almost an identical construction, but I just wanted something like simple, and I think there's a lot of power in simple garments as well. So that was like, that informed my pattern choice, but I'm really happy with it because I think this will be a great summer basic for many summers to come. And I really just love the 3x3 construction. It's so, the word forgiving sounds almost like, okay, but it's forgiving in construction in that it like, your gauge doesn't have to be perfect. It's stretchy that I don't feel like I have to wear a bra with this. Of course, that's a personal preference. But some like ribbed, like I was talking about, I think my camisole number 5, and that's a 2x2 construction in a fingering weight, so it doesn't necessarily give like the stretch and the support that I would necessarily want for like a tank top that I want to go braless in. So I definitely like kind of the look of my boobs in this one more. And yeah, I definitely just like supporting a designer like Jessie Main, who makes size inclusive garments, who provides lots of different yarn options and substitutions, and also like sliding scale payments. Like, what more could you want from a designer? I think that's fantastic. And yeah, pretty simple pattern. I'd recommend it. A lot of people make it, and then it's a reason. There's a reason why like popular patterns are popular, and it's because they're very easy to wear and they're simple. So, all right. That's it for finished objects. And I actually don't have anything on my needles right now. I finished this weekend when I was in Pittsburgh. I just got back yesterday, and I haven't had a chance to cast anything on. One second. I've been talking about this since April, but I think the next thing I'll do is finally knit a gauge swatch with this yarn and cast on a slip over. I haven't picked out formally what pattern I'm gonna do yet. I haven't purchased one yet. So if you have any like DK weight slip over patterns that you really like, let me know. Or anything else you think this might look good in, but I'm pretty open. But I think that'll be my next pattern because I don't have a sweater quantity in this yarn. This is LBA Merino Singles in the color Rose Quartz, and this is just Drops Kid Silk in like their natural or off-white. So I talk about this all the time. This has been my stash forever, and I've been wanting to make something with it because this was not fucking cheap. So anyway, that'll be next, I think, and probably something simple I'll be making with this as well. As far as, sorry that's lame for the whips, but this is just true life. So as far as future plans go, I do think I want to make a fall plans video, but I'll talk about yarn that I just purchased, but I don't have with me yet here, and the sweater that I'm planning to make with it. So I just purchased, I've been talking about wanting to make a pink cardigan for a bit now, and I wanted to see it through, so I went ahead and did an order from Hobby. I wanted to try out their Mayflower Easy Care and their Mayflower mohair, and so they had a bit of a sale running this weekend, and then I also ordered sock yarn and like a 7-inch circular for socks, just to maybe try out socks this fall. So anyway, ordered yarn from Hobby to make this pink cardigan. I have 2 options kind of depending on how I'm feeling when I go to cast this on. And the kind of stretch or like challenge option will be the Whitmore cardigan, and I don't have the designer's name on the top of my head, but it's this gorgeous lace yoked cardigan. I think it comes up to a size 6X, which is amazing. And if I'm feeling like I can do a lace chart and try that for the first time, like reasonably, I will do that. And then if I'm not, I think I might just go ahead and make the novice cardigan mohair edition by Petite Knit and just kind of check my gauge, because I'll planning on using a wool. A full mohair sweater does not interest me. It seems like so precarious. Like, I don't know why. It seems like something it'd be so delicate that I never want to wear. So that is what I'm planning. I had already purchased the home cardigan pattern by Kadri, but I don't think I'm actually going to make that this season because there's some other worsted weight sweaters that I want to make, and I think for this sweater I want to make something that's DK, that's more of like a layering piece, and I like to make sure that I'm kind of varying the weights of sweaters that I make throughout the season, just so they have like different uses. And when I first started knitting, I knit a lot of chunkier sweaters, and to be honest, I don't wear them that much because of the climate that I live in. So I just don't have a huge need, and there's other worsted weight sweaters that I want to make more this fall, which I think I'll talk about in a different video. So those are my future plans. Pretty simple. Again, I'm really like lowering expectations this season, because I don't know what I can feasibly work on, and I think that's good. I once had a high school teacher say that low expectations are the key to happiness, and I know he kind of meant it as a joke but also serious, and I think about a lot that like no one has told me anything truer, other than another teacher in middle school who told me that caffeine was a drug, and I was like, he's crazy, and then I was like, is he? I don't think so. Anyway, that was my experience with public school. I actually I was really lucky, went to a pretty good public school. Anyway, low expectations, the key to happiness. I think I'm just trying to like be patient with myself, and not try to like get too down on the fact that I can't do as much as I want to do. And that's life, baby. Them's the breaks. Okay. Next are acquisitions, and I have 2 non-yarn acquisitions. So I just mentioned what I just purchased, but I don't have it here to show you, and I didn't feel like waiting because it's like another 2 weeks. Who knows when that comes in. So 2 life and also knitting applicable acquisitions that I made over this month, or that I got a steamer and a depiller. I will very briefly talk about the utilities of these because I think it's super obvious, but this you can like shave your sweaters with and take all the nubs and pills off of, and I did it already once on one of my sweaters, and it's just to like help keep your sweaters looking new and fresh because things will pill, and then you could also just use this on other clothes that you have. My couch is an IKEA couch, and the cover was really pilled, and so I got to shave my couch, which was amazing, and you can see there's like fuzz in the handle. So I got these both on Amazon, which I don't love, but sometimes you gotta do it. And yeah, literally just like a depiller. And then I also got a travel steamer. I didn't want to feel like getting a full-size one. To one, I wanted to steam block the acrylic blanket. I didn't want to fully like put that in the wash if I didn't need to. And then I and of course, duh, this is like a good thing to have. I'm a 26-year-old person that does not own an iron, so I was like, a steamer in case like I need to go to a wedding and steam a dress, basically. That's like the one thing I would iron something for. So, yeah. Mini appliances. My boyfriend was like, wow, you really like your gadgets. And I was like, I guess I do. And he's like, no, I think you just buy things that you need. And I was like, yeah. Great talk, boyfriend. Yeah, those are my acquisitions. Thought I'd share. I would recommend getting a depiller. You don't need it, but it's pretty nice. So yeah, those are my acquisitions. One last thing I wanted to talk about before my media review segment is that I realized that I'm going to be in upstate New York during Rhinebeck. And I learned last year as I was getting my feet wet in the knitting community that Rhinebeck is a pretty large sheep wool and yarn festival in upstate New York that happens every year in the fall. And I remember watching people's videos making their Rhinebeck sweaters and going, and I was like, that's cool. I personally don't think I would ever like go out of my way to go to a yarn festival. However, I'm already going to be there for a wedding. I'm not going to tell you exactly where I'm going to be. That's not safe. But I'm going to be in the area, and it just so happens that we'll be free on Sunday, and probably me and my boyfriend are going to go to Rhinebeck, and maybe my boyfriend's parents. I don't know. But me and my boyfriend will definitely be there. I probably won't make like a sweater just for it or anything because I just found out that we're going to stop by. But I wanted to share that with a relevant crowd. And if anyone's going to be there, let me know. It'd be cool to meet people. So yeah, I'm going to be there. I don't really know what to expect. I wasn't really planning on going for any other reason. So I'm just kind of going to schmy around and see what's up. Yeah, so very low stakes Rhinebeck visit. See what all the hubbub's about, and I'll be able to come back and give an unbiased review because I didn't make a whole trip just to go there. It was just a stop along the way. So that's coming up. I'm excited. I have 2 weddings in October and just some time off kind of during Rhinebeck time. So I'm excited for that. And to be in upstate New York, and hopefully it'll be cooler weather. I feel like I remember last year people were like, I wore a sweater and it was too hot. So yeah, I'm excited to go. All right, so I'll be there on Sunday. Great talk. Okay, so again, this was a short episode. Happens. That concludes the knitting and making portion of the video. If you'd like to hear about things that I've been consuming media-wise, we've now moved on to that section. And I will start with, I thought I brought it, oh I did, the book that I finished this month, and that was Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I got off the very long line in the library and I need to go return this so someone else can read it. But I just got back yesterday and I just finished it this weekend. Calm down, everyone calm down. So just got this book. I liked it. I honestly don't really critically go into reading rom-coms very critically. Like, I'm just here for a good time and not a long time. There are some, like, I made a post on my Instagram story that I was like, I cannot relate to this protagonist because she's very like type A, workaholic, like non-feeling kind of person, and I'm a type B Pisces that like feels every feeling that ever demands to be felt. That's just me. But you don't need to relate to a protagonist, right? But you know how sometimes you're reading and you're like, I don't get you. But that's okay. We don't have to get every person that we read in a book. Basically, this book's about, what's her name? Nora. Nora and her sister Libby go on. Nora's a literary agent, and she goes back to a town that one of her best-selling books from her authors was about, and then, oh no, her enemy, an editor that passed up on the very same book, is from that town, and he's there. And you can only guess what ensues during the book. I am gonna maybe have some spoilers, so maybe skip ahead if you don't want to hear the spoilers. I'll maybe put in a timestamp. Few things that really bothered me about this book that are like non-starters, like not like big things. One was that she said that she owns a 2-bedroom apartment, but she also wanted to financially help her sister, and she's a literary agent that like lives in Manhattan. And like, how much money do you make as a literary agent that you have a 2-bedroom apartment to yourself and you could financially help out your sister? I don't know anything actually about that, but it seemed like a stretch. The other thing, what really bothered me, and this is probably like so silly, was in the scene that they have a play, and that the like an old person like played one of the parts, felt like ripped straight from the episode of Gilmore Girls where they host a production of Fiddler on the Roof, and Kirk is I'm forgetting the lead's name in Fiddler on the Roof, but like Kirk is in a school play. That reminds me of that, and I was like, come on. Other than that, very cute book if you like a summer rom-com. And it's just like a skosh smutty, and I could do with maybe like 2 or 3 more smutty scenes, but that's just me. Don't read this for the smut. Anyway, next. Podcasts I've been listening to that I've been really enjoying. I really got into this podcast called Celebrity Memoir Book Club. They're really big on TikTok, like the 2 hosts, and I've really enjoyed listening to their episodes recently. It's like kind of the exact celebrity like snark and fodders, is that the word? Like snark and like content that I like. It's not like always snarky, but like a lot of the time it is. So they read Jamie Lynn Spears' memoir. I'm listening to one where they talk about Chriselle Staus from Selling Sunset. They also did one on Christine Quinn. It's just like it's a really interesting niche and like funny thing to like dissect a lot of these books that most usually aren't written by the celebrities themselves, or like they're written in tandem with a ghostwriter. So if you like any of that, I would recommend that podcast. I've been enjoying it so far. I'm trying to think of any other. Oh, I really want to listen to the Emily Ratajkowski one, but that's on my list. And there was one other one that like really stuck out, and now I can't remember. So, sorry. Last thing, I've been needing something very soft and very light to watch on television, and I've never gotten into the Great British Bake Off. However, I think now I will, because I just started watching the Junior British Bake Off with little children, and it is so freaking cute, like adorable. It's really sweet. It's on Netflix. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's like little British children making pastries, and it's like, I wish I was a British child with universal health care and called cookies biscuits. But alas, I'm not. It's like list of children that I'd like to be. It's like Petite Knit's baby, and then a child on Junior British Bake Off. I posted that on my Insta stories once. I was like, to be a baby of a Danish knitwear designer, or a Scandinavian knitwear designer. The dream. I just want to visit sheep farms, be a toddler, and wear like merino wool sweaters that my mom made me. Mentally, that's where I'm at. So yeah. Okay. Well, that's all I had to say. That's all I had for you today, guys. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Knits by Mandy podcast. I hope I have a better September. If you had a crappy August, I hope that you have a better September. Summer's golden hour, as some refer to it. Fall is around the corner, a new season is around the corner. I hope maybe some change, if you want it, is around the corner for you as well. And just stay happy. I almost said healthy and happy. Yeah, stay healthy and happy and safe. And I will see y'all soon. Bye.